Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome everyone into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Everyone, how you doing? Welcome into the program. So today on the show, we have computer and technology news, and we have a ton of different stories, lots to talk about, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Some stuff to catch up on. I know that last week's shows were few and far between, but that's okay. We're back this week, and everyone, hey, we should be, we should have a great week. So everyone, I hope that you're doing well. ComputerAmerica.com. That's where you'll find everything, including past shows, future shows, all the shows, show notes, all that and more. You can find it at Computer America, as well as a live video feed. If you can't catch us live on IRN, then either the video feed or the podcast is the next best place to go. Check those out wherever podcasts are heard, or twitch.tv/Computer America. Now, at Computer America, all socials, and yeah, I think that's about it for today. Let's go ahead and get started with computer and technology news and just jump right into the news. Everyone, here we go. Okay, I think that a good one would be on Friday. I believe a judgment was handed down in the Epic versus, actually, it might have been over the weekend, Epic versus Apple. And we can do a little bit of update over this. But we can see here that Apple was on the losing end of this, yet at the same time, well, who'd have thunk it, but Epic is actually appealing the decision. So we'll get into both sides of it. First, though, we'll start with this one about Apple and the fact that they did actually lose, quite a bit here. And so, let's go ahead and switch over here. Apple loses $85 billion in value after the App Store ruling. And a lot of you may be thinking, $85 billion, that's amazing. To put that into perspective, the company has gone up, I want to say about 13-14% this year alone, as far as just strictly the financials go. So falling 3% is, that's something. That's obviously a good chunk of their yearly growth. And when it comes to tech stocks, it's all about growth. The amount that you're able to expand and, continue to find new users, sell new products, increase your services. And one of the big parts of that was, of course, increasing the amount of users and keeping the high level of, a good portion of every transaction that happens on the App Store. And, well, with this, it seems like the courts have ruled that Apple has to change their system. The federal judge ordered the company to change the way it operates its App Store, which would hurt the profitability of that business unit. And by the way, that business unit, that side of the business, they still sell a good amount of iPhones. They still sell a good amount of hardware. They still sell the earpods and the AirPods and stuff like that, they still do a lot of good hardware business, and clearly, they're still producing software here and there, hit or miss. But the thing that has driven the company to, greater and greater heights, really the thing that pushed it to $2 trillion was this idea that they had this very lucrative ecosystem that everyone had to use, and that they just took 30% right off the top. That was a big part of their growth and how they were able to reach such a large market value. Because a lot of people would look at that and go, yeah, iPhones are great and all, but they're not worth $2 trillion. No, but it's everything that people do within their smartphones, and the fact that our smartphones have become essentially our portals to, a lot of services that we use every single day. So the article, this first one from Bloomberg, mentions a lot of the financials again, such as the fact that it fell 3.3% today alone, and it raised $85 billion from the market capitalization. And again, the market capitalization has to do more with just every part of the business. It doesn't mean that they suddenly lost $85 billion in cash or assets or anything like that. No, it just means that investors value it just a little bit less. So theoretically, they lost this kind of money, but on paper, their business does not really change whatsoever. Now, a federal judge granted an injunction sought by Epic Games Inc., which would allow developers to steer consumers outside payment methods for mobile apps. It also ordered the game maker to pay damages to Apple for breach of contract. So Apple won, but Apple also lost. And I'm sure that if Apple had their way, they would say, Epic Games, they're not exactly small fries. It's not just chump change that we're talking about here. It's a couple of $1 billion when it comes to the maker of Fortnite, which was a hugely, and continues to be a hugely popular game on mobile as well, and skin transactions. But I'm sure that if Apple had their way, they would say, forget, the past, let us keep bilking everyone on our app store. So with that, we just flow right into this other story. This one from Engadget, though, about Epic actually appealing the decision, saying that they have multiple reasons to object. This is by John Fingus over at Engadget, and they're essentially saying that Epic may have scored a notable victory in its lawsuit against Apple, but it's dissatisfied enough to keep the legal battle going. The Verge reports Epic has filed an appeal against the ruling. The initial notice didn't explain how the Fortnite developer was challenging the decision, but there were a number of areas that the company was unhappy with. The judge's ruling determined Epic had to pay $3.65 million in damages for violating Apple's rules, barring third-party in-app systems. And $3.65 million, don't get me wrong, a lot of people here would love to have $3.65 million. To Apple, man, that doesn't even keep the lights on. That is almost nothing. Plus 30% of whatever whatever Epic earned through its in-house payment system from November 2020 onward. Now that one is probably in the area of a couple $100 million, if not closer to $1 billion, because we saw through their financials that they released, they make a lot of money through mobile sales. More importantly, Rogers found Epic's monopoly allegations didn't hold up under scrutiny. While Epic did succeed in forcing Apple to allow links to third-party purchasing systems, it didn't receive concessions on allowing third-party app stores or obtaining fair competition for in-app purchasing. Apple largely gets to preserve its existing business model, preventing access to the Epic Game Store or similar app store alternatives. So there you go. It's and again, preventing access to the Epic Game Store or similar app store alternatives. So the way that I think Epic would have completely been happy with this would be if people could sideload apps, if they could connect their phones to their computers and upload apps after downloading them either through a browser on their phone or, download it off of the computer and sideload it onto people's phones. That would have been kind of what Epic was really looking for, a way to run the entire ecosystem that is the Epic Game Store on smartphones and completely bypass the payment system, the security system, bypass all of that, and essentially run Epic for everything Epic, so that Apple gets no cut whatsoever. They succeeded to some extent. Clearly, people still have, let's say you download the game, you still have to connect to Epic's servers to play the game. So when you launch the app and it says, oh, you would like to purchase this skin, you would like to purchase, this cosmetic item, instead of just saying, just one little tap that says, okay, pay here, goes through Apple Pay, Apple gets their 30%, so on and so forth. Instead of that being the only option, now there will be an option that you click on this link and it will take you through a browser to the Epic Game Store, download it and purchase it through Epic Games, and then it would show up on your account on your iOS device. A little convoluted, but it saves Epic a lot of money. And, well, I can't really say saves them. It makes them a lot more money at the, not at the benefit of Apple. So, and of course, Netflix has been doing this for a little while. Epic, Fortnite and Epic Games had been doing it as well, which is what brought along this whole lawsuit. And just a couple of weeks ago, I think Apple tried to get out ahead of this ruling because they, kind of saw the writing on the wall. They were letting certain providers, if they had enough users, like Netflix is the other notable one in this case, like Netflix, like Microsoft, like Epic Games, like so many other people with large user bases, they can do that. Apple already made that decision that you can allow links outside of the store. As far as I know, it was only for the very large players. But, now with this being said, Apple has to effectively do this for everyone. And that is a very, very big deal. It loosens the grip that Apple has over their own app store, especially when it comes to payment. And again, the reason why this is so, kind of head scratching for, why was this such a big deal? It's again because Apple, you could purchase that good elsewhere, the exact same good on the exact same service with the exact same game, whatever. But by purchasing it from one place versus another, you were actually, the company behind it was making more money versus the other. There was no way to kind of say that, we want to give you 15% and keep 85%. No, there was no way to do that. And therefore, this was a big, big victory for apps, many apps in the future that operate on iOS, which is why Apple's share price fell 3% overall just over this one ruling, because it really puts into it's really going to hurt the growth and profitability of one of the most profitable sides of the business. And it was profitable partly because it was so egregiously different than the industry standard. 30% was a huge cut. Others, such as Steam, have already cut that back to 15%. I think that the Microsoft Marketplace that was just getting a refresh said that they're only going to take 15 or 13%, something very competitive. But Apple continues to be the only holdout. It doesn't say that Apple has to charge less, but it says that you can send people outside of the iOS store to make these purchases. So, for Apple, at this point, it might just become 30% or 0%, depending on how cumbersome these services make the payment system. So we'll wait and see what really happens. The article finishes up by saying that Apple isn't completely satisfied and is expected to appeal the Epic's one win in the case. This fight isn't likely to end anytime soon, regardless of how courts rule in the near future, which is always the case. But they have to operate on kind of on what currently happens, and they have to change their payment systems. I wanted to look up Apple versus Samsung, court case history. That's what I wanted to look up. So Apple first sued Samsung in 2011 for copying the design of the iPhone, which then led to a series of lawsuits. And by the way, that went all the way to the Supreme Court in 2016, and I think the last time that that saw the light of day before they kind of buried the hatchet on that particular issue, because think about that, Samsung had in a lot of ways been copying the iPhone over that entire duration from 2011 on, and of course iPhone borrowed, I'm sure, a few features from Samsung, but that went all the way until about 2018, if not later. 2018 was, kind of the last notable win that Apple had against Samsung, where Samsung paid Apple about $540 million. But I just wanted to give it an idea of when back then it was $2 billion companies, but at least here, multi-billion dollar companies kind of sue each other. Losses really don't mean anything. Winning really doesn't mean anything, because these court cases can last the better part of a decade. So, when they do, when they do win, it just means that, we won today, but in a couple of months, it could be completely overturned, flipped. They open new cases, explore new avenues. There's no final word in this, and it sure as heck isn't going to Apple. It's not going to Epic Games. This one is probably, and because it is such a big financial loss for Apple, yeah, their stock price went down 3%, but it's only 3% for a major change to their design. They're going to challenge this, and they are going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that they keep doing this. Right now, they still have to operate on the assumption that they have to allow those outside payments, but not for long, or at least not forever at this point. Again, kind of a wait and see attitude we have to take here, but score 1 point for Epic and multiple points for Apple on this one. Okay, that was story number 1. Story number 2. If you are in the world of cryptocurrency, and we have a lot of great segments on cryptocurrency, you can go ahead and check out our YouTube channel on special segments, or just kind of search Computer America, Bitcoin and stuff like that. Cryptocurrency is in a weird spot where it's definitely speculative. A lot of people are very much behind the idea of cryptocurrency. Some are purely in it for financial reasons, seeing that it can go up 30% a year, 100% a year, 200% a year. They see the wild ride that things like Dogecoin have had. The fact that Bitcoin has appreciated like 50,000% over the course of just a couple of years. People are intrigued by the potential profits that they can get by investing in cryptocurrency. Others say cryptocurrency truly is a fundamental shift in human society, where we move to a decentralized currency that can be used anywhere with quick transactions, and completely avoids all of the trials and tribulations that go with formulating currencies from one place to another, especially decentralized, where no one government, agency, body, group, or individual can say that this is what this is worth. No, that is completely up to the whims of a free market. So cryptocurrency is in this weird spot where it's, I don't want to say widely adopted, but it is widely available. not a lot of companies are offering cryptocurrency. And then you see, kind of instances where, let's say, Tesla says that they're going to accept Bitcoin. And then, of course, they turn around and say, oh, by the way, we're no longer accepting Bitcoin. We haven't sold anything, but we're not accepting it. It seems like a good play when Bitcoin is going up to $63,000. But then when these companies have a sizable holding of these things and, Bitcoin goes down to $30,000, half of all the money that they're holding in this thing is completely wiped out. They all look at each other and go, maybe it's not ready yet. And then they all run scared. It's widely available, not exactly widely adopted, but here we are. And the people who are into cryptocurrency are waiting for that next thing. They're waiting for Amazon to accept Bitcoin. They're waiting for Tesla to accept Bitcoin. They're waiting for Dogecoin to be available at 7-Eleven. Little things like that. They're waiting for that mainstream acceptance, and they're chomping at the bit for it. So when a little hoax, and we don't quite know who has done this one yet, but it made a huge splash. So they mentioned that a bogus press release, and by the way, this is from Engadget, saying that a bogus press release from Walmart saying that, so it was a false press release from Walmart saying that they were accepting Litecoin. Litecoin being one of the more popular altcoins. And, of course, everyone knows Bitcoin is kind of the most popular, but then Litecoin, all of these different cryptocurrencies have a different kind of niche and ability. The point of a Litecoin is more of transaction speed, availability. It's very quick compared to Bitcoin transactions. So someone put out a false press release saying that Walmart was going to start accepting Litecoin for payments sometime in the near future. And that caused a little bit of a spike. I can go ahead and pull that up here. Litecoin price chart. And we can go ahead and let's see. So here's the 1 day. Let's see if, where's this coming? Okay, let's just look at it here because I wanted something a little bit more, good looking for the stream. If you're watching the video portion, you can see that there. This is the kind of baseline. Started out today at about $185 a coin, and it was kind of going up and down, doing its thing. 170 here, 185 there. This is the life of cryptocurrency, and then you get this little bit of a skyrocket from about 9:30 a.m. Which all this happened, by the way, as of the time of this recording, about 3 hours ago. So this is more like Pacific time or something like that. But still, just a couple of hours ago, you get this large spike where it goes up all the way up to about $230. Pretty crazy. And then, of course, it quickly tapers off. And these little bumps kind of make me assume that there were either halts or just kind of large transactions going through. But still, this bump, this giant green finger of a chart here meant that Walmart was going to accept Litecoin, and then Walmart came out and ruined the party by saying, we have no association with Litecoin and don't plan on accepting it anytime soon. They mentioned that the press release went out on Newswire distribution network Globe Newswire, which later pulled the phony announcement and issued a notice to disregard it. A Walmart spokesperson said that the release was fake and that the company asked Globe Newswire how it distributed in the first place. And by the way, as someone who puts out press releases, you write them up, you send them out, and you say for immediate release. And it's kind of a rubber stamp process. It took them a couple of minutes to kind of get through and, say that, oh, this is fake, disregard it. But yeah, by that time, a lot of damage can be done. Walmart didn't post the announcement on its website, and the press release listed an email address with a website that doesn't work. Engadget has contacted both for comment. They said that if the person who sent the fake press release had a cryptocurrency wallet bulging with Litecoin, they might have made an absolute killing. There's no doubt it was a creative way to inflate the price of cryptocurrency, but perhaps it wasn't the smartest idea because it could draw an investigation from the SEC, which I guarantee you it already has. Find out who it came from, why they sent it, and if they actually did profit from it. Because if they profited from it, yeah, that's not going to look too good on them if they were to actually do this. But still, for anyone else that was really keeping a close eye on cryptocurrency and they decided to kind of sell right at that moment, I mean, yeah, people made and lost a lot of money today, all over a false press release promising acceptance. Because isn't that what we all want, is acceptance? Everyone, I think that for story number 3. No, story, yes. Story number 4. We're going to do story number 4. Story number 4, how about some good news? Yeah, we can go ahead and do good news. Okay, yep. And just a warning, this would be about the last piece of good news that we have here for the day, because some of this is concerning, some of this is just, downright terrifying, but hey, how about some good news? This is from Engadget and actually pulled probably more from MIT themselves, Mr. John Finkus, but essentially saying that fusion energy has become more of a thing. And I know that just last month, we talked about the viability of the tokamak energy production kind of prototype that they were building in China. They were able to sustain a plasma beam for in the neighborhood of like 130 seconds or something like that. It was a very impressive amount of time, where before that the record was like 3 seconds, and then they just blew it out of the water by doing that. Well, it looks like there's a new contender in a different part of the world and in a different part of fusion energy. So instead of using super cooled magnets to be able to produce this energy beam and ram hydrogen atoms together, that then, just like the inside of our sun that gives off a lot of energy, you're able to do that on a smaller scale at very high temperatures, smash them together, and then of course the resulting energy that is produced by these things, these atoms snapping together and breaking their bonds and reforming new bonds, well, that energy would then be captured. And the best part about all this, other than being really cool and really nerdy, is the fact that it is potentially limitless. Because it has that little side effect of actually producing more energy than it takes to do the reaction. And that is something that is not said really of any other fuel source. I mean, when you look at fossil fuels, carbon, natural gas, things like that, these are all things that have been produced in our Earth through high pressure, organic matter deteriorating, through so many other processes. Yeah, but at some point the energy came from something, and that was usually plants or animals, and that energy usually started out as solar energy, which was then metabolized and blah, blah, blah. Now, and of course, solar and wind do the exact same things. Winds are driven by the solar energy that hits our Earth and drives wind currents. And of course, solar energy tries to do its best to hit photovoltaic cells, which then, of course, generate electricity by converting the electrons that hit on those solar cells. Everything trying to recapture energy from the sun, and it has varying levels of effectiveness. So, hey, being able to create the same environment that happens within our sun, we got to go right to the source. And the implications behind all of this are, of course, the fact that, If you build one, you can build 100, hopefully. And if you build 100, you can build 1,000, and well, hopefully more and more and more of that. And the exciting part of that, of course, is that when you produce more energy than you take in, well, this leads to a society of essentially free electricity forever. As long as these things keep working and you can design and build them fast enough, free energy. And that's kind of crucial. And not just energy, but free, sustainable, green, efficient energy. And now, what is the breakthrough that, and that's kind of a little background on fusion energy. Well, what have they been working on? Because we're still very far away from this. This is still science fiction kind of stuff. Like, last I heard, they were looking still at like 2040, 2050 dates before they even had like a large scale working prototype. Because up until now, we've had these prototypes that can fill up maybe a small shed or garage. They're relatively small contraptions. But looks like now we're moving on to another exciting part where they said that through MIT and the Commonwealth Fusion Systems-led research team has successfully demonstrated a high-temperature superconducting electromagnet producing a field strength of 20 Teslas. Not just 20 Teslas the man, but no, 20 Teslas the unit. The most powerful field of its kind on Earth. The technology could be the key to Spark, a fusion device due in 2025 that could foster a plasma field producing more energy than it consumes. And they're saying that the system based on the superconducting electromagnets aren't new. The under construction ITER device in France will use low temperature superconductors, and those are the ones that are super cooled using liquid nitrogen. This one, though, however, it's a high temperature technology, and it allows for a much stronger magnetic field. It can match the field of a low temperature magnet system 40 times its size, according to MIT. And, really the exciting part about that is, of course, you only need to make it 1/40th the size to be equally as efficient. But hey, heat always has issues over cold. Super suspending something in near 0 degree Kelvin is usually a lot safer than having something that is heated to hundreds of degrees Kelvin. Now, they say that Spark and its net positive energy output would be just the start. MIT and CFS still plan to develop a fusion power plant, which will be named ARC, if you're a fan of Iron Man. It's kind of what his, that's what his little arc reactor, through his first movie and was implanted into his chest. So ARC, that might go online as soon as 2033. Should that happen, fusion energy would finally become a practical reality, although I think John Fingus is being a little bit optimistic here. I have not heard a single person assume that we're going to get anywhere kind of near a working reactor by the early 2030s. That would be really impressive because the science has so far to go, and these things would be literally top of the line, perfectly engineered things that we still have to work out. But it's still good progress, and it's always good to highlight good news. Now, our next story. As a celebrity, as the host of the Computer America Show, I should like this one, but all of you can be justifiably mad if you'd like. Facebook, remember that old thing? Facebook's program for VIPs allows politicians and celebrities to break its rules, reports say. Good news for me. Yeah, I guess. They said that the cross-check system was created to avoid PR fires, according to the report. And you can see the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Mark Zuckerberg, sitting there before testifying in front of Congress. They're saying that Facebook has for years used a little-known VIP program that's enabled millions of high-profile users to skirt its rules. According to the program called X-Check or Cross-Check, It was created in order to avoid PR fires, the public backlash that occurs when Facebook made a mistake affecting a high-profile user's account. The cross-check program meant that if one of these accounts broke its rules, the violation was sent to a separate team so that it could be reviewed by the Facebook employees. They said that the violation was then sent to others for review rather than its non-employee moderators who typically review rule-breaking content. And by the way, as I've seen those programs where they allow just anyone who wants to volunteer to do that kind of moderation. They come in, and the right answer, even though it's not always the right answer, but the most immediate and, to kind of keep the privilege of being a moderator, the go-to answer is to suspend, to ban, and to just completely remove the person from from a platform. That doesn't work too well if you are, let's say, Kanye. And if, clearly Kanye has said some controversial things, instead of banning his account or doing one of these things that might lead to even more speculation and potentially backlash for your company, which is when they say, kind of PR fires that they're talking about. PR fires in terms of Facebook's PR fires. So instead of banning these high-profile accounts, they go somewhere else that will be looked into and by and large will probably be just ignored. They said that most of the content flagged by the cross-check system faced no subsequent review. This effectively allowed celebrities, politicians, and other high-profile users to break the rules without consequences. In one incident described in the report, Brazilian star Neymar posted nude photos of a woman who had accused him of sexual assault. That's a bad thing. Okay, that's bad. Such a post is a violation of Facebook's rules around non-consensual nudity, and rule breakers are typically banned from the platform. But the cross-check system blocked Facebook moderators from removing the video, and the post was viewed by nearly 60 million people before it was eventually removed, and the account faced no other consequences. So if this was to avoid PR fires, that sounds like a really big one. But at the same time, the fact that I'm just now hearing about this, I guess it works to some extent. Last year, the cross-check system enabled rule-breaking content to be viewed more than 16 billion times before being removed. The report also says that Facebook misled its oversight board, which pressed the company on its cross-check system in June when weighing how the company should handle a number of indefinite suspensions that the company had handed out. The company told the board at the time that the system only affected a small number of its decisions and that it was not feasible to share more data, which we've also seen from Facebook, that whenever they have data that they don't like, they just kind of wait and sit on it and wait for the numbers to turn in their favor, and then they release both sets of numbers, but only point to the better looking ones that are more recent. Now, they say that, and what's interesting is that the Oversight Board has expressed concern, and that's a statement that they shared. So here's the thing. The fact that Crosscheck already has millions of applicants, users, whatever, the fact that it's already used that many times, and these are for celebrities, popular people on the platform. That means that they're going to have the larger audiences. When you have a larger audience, you get this thing that happens where you get people who don't like you, but they still follow you on social media. They still respond to you. They still interact with you. And one of the ways that they interact is by reporting them. Now, through some kind of coordinated effort, normally an account would just be banned if it were to receive 1,000 reports. But through the system, nothing probably happened, and it probably just got bounced right back. Why I'm saying this is that for all of the ordinary people who use social media, you are probably put through robot, artificial intelligence, automated customer support, and automated account moderation and banning. But for the most popular accounts out there, which there are millions, remember that, which probably receive the larger part of reported accounts and report abuse, they get almost no oversight. That means that these accounts can get away with a lot more, because if it's not automated and they get more reports than what Facebook needs in an automated system, then yeah, they're not going to be able to handle all of the reports that come into their cross-check system. And that's what it seems like. So they'd rather ignore their most popular people when it comes to reports. Because one, Facebook, I'm assuming, can kind of guess that if someone has a public image to kind of protect, that they're not going to, let's say, post nude images of a woman on their social media account that is alleging that they sexually assaulted them. They would not do stupid things like that would jeopardize their public view, usually. But when it does happen, they are probably very kind of swamped with all these reports that it's easier to just ignore it and kind of retroactively, if it gets enough traction, go back and fix it. Now, Facebook told Wall Street Journal that its reporting was based on outdated information, and that, quote, in the end, at the center of the story is Facebook's own analysis that we need to improve the program. We know our enforcement is not perfect, and there are trade-offs between speed and accuracy. I gotta be honest, their accuracy is probably pretty crap on both sides. So their speed can definitely be, can definitely change, but their accuracy is probably very bad in both regards. But it's again kind of like YouTube as well. Every single day, let's see how much YouTube video is uploaded to YouTube. How much video is uploaded to YouTube daily? So every day, YouTube gets about 720,000 hours of video uploaded every single day. No amount of people, if you employed 1 million people to sit there and watch 1 hour of video every single day to make sure nothing is copyright, nothing is stolen, nothing is abusive or anything like that. Yeah, maybe 1 million moderators a day could help YouTube do their thing. But hey, YouTube automates their content management system, and Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, everyone, everywhere is going to do the exact same thing because robots are already better than people. That's just the sad truth of it. And hey, they're a heck of a lot cheaper. So, if you're one of these famous people, there you go. Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap up this article saying that the revelations could prompt new investigations into Facebook's content moderation policies. Some information related to cross-check has been turned over to the SEC by a person seeking federal whistleblower protection, which, all well and good. I doubt that Facebook is going to see much change because the only way that they kind of avoid this is to either narrow down the ability for people to post content, videos, and pictures, or which they don't want to do, or they hire a lot of people, which they're also not going to do. So there you have it, Facebook VIPs. Yeah, it happens. I'm sure that, once again, they are just hoping that people want to preserve a public image more than they want to trash Facebook, although both could be completely possible. Okay, how about this next one? Actually, this is almost the same thing. Content moderation, but in this one, YouTube. So YouTube is also forcing the popular Rhythm Discord music bot offline. So for those who don't know, there were a couple of music bots. So a music bot in Discord, you give it its own channel and you create a playlist through Groovybot or Rhythmbot, or you allow them to kind of set to their default. And think of it like a YouTube playlist or a Spotify playlist. It would go automatically in that one particular Discord room. People could go in there, listen to music. It was a pretty small thing, but it added something for users to do within your Discord. You didn't have to leave the app to go listen to music. And of course, you could listen with your friends very easily, all that good stuff. Well, Google-owned YouTube is now turning its attention to Rhythm after sending a cease and desist to Groovybot. This and of course with Rhythm, it's the most popular music bot on Discord. The search giant has sent a cease and desist to the owners of Rhythm, and that let users play music from YouTube videos and has more than 560 million users. Now that number may be a little misconstrued because I'm sure that they're going by the number of Discords followed by the number of users, but remember, one user can count as multiple users in multiple Discords. So I'm sure that number is much smaller, but still you're looking at 20 million Discord servers alone. That Rhythmbot is doing that. So, and by the way, Rhythmbot, if you're a fan of it, it's going to be shut down completely in its entirety on the 15th. So there you go. It said that Rhythm has more than 560 million Discord users and 30 million of them actively use the service each month. Given Discord has 150 million monthly active users, the shutdown is a huge blow to a core feature that Discord that used to be around 20% of its user base. There you go. Saying that, quote, one way or another, we knew this would happen eventually, admits the creator, saying that, which is why we started working on something new a year ago. Groovy receiving one just meant it would happen sooner rather than later. So the creator knew something like this was in the works when it comes to YouTube. So the Rhythmbot team is working on something new in the music space. Rhythm has been a full-time job for the creator, and it took 16 servers with more than 4 terabytes of RAM and over 1,000 CPU cores to power the Discord music bot. Saying that, quote, I believe that now that we receive the letter, all music bots will be getting them too in the following weeks, and he strongly believes all of them will be shut down. As someone that is a very early user on Discord, it's hard to envision it without music bots since they become a key to everyone's experience. It's an end of an era for everyone on the platform. There you go. Yeah, and of course, but can it run Crisis? No, but it can run Pong. That's about all you need. Now, Groovy and Rhythm shutting down will force many Discord users to look for alternatives, but small bot developers could soon end up in a similar position if they attempt to fill the gap. And I think that that might be one option where people will develop their own copycat. Maybe the source code will be available somewhere. They'll fire up their own servers from home and, maybe provide their service for a couple hundred Discord servers before they receive a cease and desist or you're going to get sued. And of course, it then becomes a game of whack-a-mole for YouTube. And if they can, keep that level of aggression up, then, something has to fill it up. YouTube and Discord do appear to be working on some form of alternative. Discord has been testing a social party feature on its service for the past 10 months, and it allows Discord users to form a YouTube watch party. It's not a straight replacement for music bots, but if the feature ever officially launches, then it will be an official way to watch YouTube content inside Discord. I gotta say though, not the best analogy, because that would be if you find a movie on YouTube and you wanted to take all of your Discord users and watch that movie at the exact same time, then you can do something like that. But no, this would be just a constantly playing music bots were constantly playing music in the background of a particular kind of space in your Discord, it doesn't really fill that gap whatsoever. So, yeah, I mean, clearly there's demand. Clearly, YouTube could be, working on an alternative. But the question is, when will it be released versus these cease and desist letters? Because I'm sure that the timeline is not going to be the most smooth transition from something that is unofficial to something that is actually official. So there you go. Discord said that they would not comment. And there you go. It's the ending of music bots, which if you use Discord have actually been a very popular feature. So a little surprised, but at the same time saw it coming. Now, we have time for like maybe 2 more stories. How about this one? Apple. This affects us today, and just caught wind of this right before the show. You can check it out here. This is Apple. Let's see. Yeah, this was published like just a couple minutes before the show here, saying that Apple patches an NSO 0-day flaw affecting all devices. Now, it's important to remember it's not often that we hear about these because, it just doesn't really happen. Let's check this out. So they say that Citizen Lab says that forced entry flaw affects all iPhones, iPads, Macs, and watches. And that's super important and great that Citizen Lab found it, because if a hacker found it and tried to sell it to people, man, this would be one of the quickest bot vulnerabilities on the black market that there has ever been, because iOS devices are incredibly lucrative if you can hack into them. But Apple has released security updates for a newly discovered 0-day vulnerability that affects every iPhone, iPad, Mac, and Apple Watch. They said that it was discovered the vulnerability and was credited with the find, urges users to immediately update their devices. So sometime today, update your iOS devices. The technology giant said that iOS 14.8 for iPhones and iPads, as well as new updates for Apple Watch and macOS, will fix at least one vulnerability they said that may have been actively exploited. In a lot of these cases, what works in a laboratory is not exactly what works in real life, but it's always something to keep in mind. Now, they said that they have now discovered new artifacts of the forced entry vulnerability. Details at first released in August as part of an investigation into the use of 0-day vulnerabilities that were used to silently hack into iPhones belonging to at least one Bahraini, so someone from Bahrain, Bahraini activist. Last month, Citizen Lab says that the 0-day flaw, named as such since it gives companies 0 days to roll out a fix, took advantage of a flaw in Apple's iMessage system, which was exploited to push the Pegasus spyware developed by the NSA Group. And the NSA Group, if you don't remember that, we covered that whole thing. This was a malware vendor for police. And this Israeli tech company essentially said, we only sell to the good guys. We only sell to law enforcement, law-abiding citizens, governments that are just looking to stop terrorists. We're only doing the right thing. And then when it came time to look at their books and see, all their users, turns out they were selling to some of the most authoritarian regimes out there, especially those targeting journalists and activists. So they weren't telling the complete truth, but I digress. Now, they said that Pegasus gives its government customers near complete access to a target device, including personal data, photos, messages, and location. The breach was significant because the flaws exploited the latest iPhone software at the time. And they say that, but also the vulnerabilities broke through new iPhone defenses that Apple had baked into it, dubbed Blast Door, which were supposed to prevent silent attacks by filtering potentially malicious code. Citizen Lab calls the particular exploit, calls this particular exploit forced entry for its ability to skirt the blast door protections. So whatever new software that Apple had put in recently to stop this kind of thing, forced entry was able to get around it. In its latest findings, they said it found evidence of the forced entry exploit on the iPhone of a Saudi activist running at the time the latest version of iOS. Researchers say that the exploit takes advantage of a weakness in how Apple devices render images on the display. Citizen Lab now says that the same forced entry exploit works on all devices running, until today, the latest software. So they said that the exploit takes advantage of a weakness in how Apple devices render images on the display. Curious to what that actually means. They said it reported its findings to Apple on September 7th, so they gave them about a week to find an update and push it out. Apple pushed out the update for the vulnerability, and Citizen Lab says it attributes the forced entry exploit to the NSA Group with high confidence, citing evidence that it has seen that it was not previously published. So a researcher with Citizen Lab said that messaging apps like iMessage are increasingly a target of nation-state hacking operations, and this latest find underlines the challenges in securing them. When reached, Apple declined to comment. NSA Group did not immediately comment either, nor do I think they will. I think that the NSA Group has learned that they're never going to look like the good guys, and any kind of attempt at PR is just going to fall on deaf ears. Messaging apps are a weird one because more and more, especially in places like Southeast Asia, places in Europe, even here in America, phone messaging apps are starting to become like a one-stop shop. You can communicate with chatbots, you can purchase items, you can make payments, you can send location data, you can of course send images, contact information. The messages themselves have a lot of value for places like this. There's a lot of very valuable information that I'm sure governments and hackers alike would love to have. So, and these messaging apps are meant to share information because you're obviously opening a two-way communication for someone. Well, that information has to be sent, and it's not always secure. End-to-end encryption is still being worked on. A couple companies that have said that they do end-to-end encryption. Turns out they actually don't. They more just kind of keep it encrypted on their servers, but they still also have the keys to decrypt it. So it's not like they are completely encrypted forever. It's just that they're stored encrypted and they can be decrypted anytime the company needs to. Not the best look. And obviously for Apple, it's not very often that we hear about these zero-day vulnerabilities, especially one by the good old NSO that we have heard so much about. A little fun there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have time for like half of one story. We really don't have time for another. Speaking of iPhones, last story of the day, iPhone 13. Tomorrow, we will have the Apple event. I don't know if we'll be covering and dedicating the whole show to it. It's going to happen before we air the program, so we might cover the highlights in the first half of the show, and then the second half of the show, we'll, kind of do our own thing. But last minute iPhone 13 leak, just to, kind of psych you up and get you prepared for what you might hear tomorrow. Well, it looks like the latest iPhone 13 leak might be the fact that it hints at 1 terabyte. 1 terabyte of storage, which up until now you've been looking at 16 gigs was the lowest, and then I think they did away with that. Became 32, 128, or 3264 and 128, and then of course some came with 256. I think the latest iPhones, the largest it goes is to 256. And looks like iPhone will be leaping a little bit here where, 13 could come with 1 terabyte storage option. Now, the thing to remember with this, as always, is that the main differentiator between the different price categories of the iPhone, aside from like the iPhone Plus, the regular iPhone, the iPhone Mini, so on and so forth, the main difference is the amount of storage found on the phone. And that leads you to situations where, one iPhone is $800, and then the next one up is $900, and then the next one up is $1,050 or $1,050. A 1 terabyte option is going to blow all of those out of the water, and if they keep the same pricing scheme, $8, $9, $10.50, this one could be as much as $1,200 or $1,300. We'll find out tomorrow if I'm right, and we'll update you on our prediction. My prediction is that the iPhone 13, the largest iPhone, the iPhone Plus 13, will have, if it has 1 terabyte, will be valued at about, let's say $12.99, just to give Apple some credit in overcharging for basic features. So there you go, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow. More Apple coverage, more Computer America. Everyone have a great day. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Everyone, have fun out there. Bye.